Hi, I'm coming to you from Brothers Tech Center. My name is David Welch. You've seen me on TV and a bunch of YouTube how-to videos. Today I'm going to show you how to switch out the front springs on your truck. It's not that difficult of a job. I'd say maybe about a 3 or a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10. Takes you like maybe 2-3 hours. Get a buddy to help you out. Make sure you are safe. Make sure it's a flat ground. Make sure you've got your jack stands. Make sure you've got a chuck behind the rear wheels and you've got your emergency brake applied. Now, you'll need some tools. Most of them are pretty basic. You'll need a pickle fork, but you might want to go get one of these, a tie rod end popper. I'll show you how to use it in just a little bit. First, we're going to go ahead and take off the tire, and I'll show you what we've got underneath. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a jack up and I'm going to put it up underneath my control arm right here. And the reason that I'm going to do that is I'm going to take a little tension off the suspension. It'll make it easier to take off my shock and my front sway bar along with a few other things. So let's get that jack up into here. And up you go. Okay, right there. All right, just a little bit of tension. So now I can go and take my shock off. So I have taken off my shock and I've taken off the clamp that holds my sway bar on. This is going to let my lower control arm move down all the way freely. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my caliper off. When I take my caliper off, I don't want it to hang on this rubber hose right here. It's going to stress it out and maybe cause it to leak later down the road. So I'll get some wire or zip tie or something like that, and I'll pull it off and I'll secure it up here. Now I'm going to go ahead and take off my upper ball joint and my tie rod in here. You'll need to make sure you pull out your cotter pin, and then when I'm loosening this up on the tie rod end, I am not going to take it all the way off. I'm just going to loosen it up about 4 or 5 turns, and I want to make sure that that nut still has a decent amount of meat that it's holding on to on the nut there. So this right here is a tie rod end popper. You can use a pickle fork and a big heavy hammer, but a lot of times it will mess up your rubber here and sometimes your tie rod end too. So if you're not going to be saving this, you can go ahead and use your pickle fork, but if you want to save it, you'll use this. It simply attaches right like this. And then you'll tighten it down until it pops. Now this does not even really have any tension on it, but I want you to leave the nut on because you can hear how it popped like that, and we don't want this thing going bouncing around. When I take the nut off, I'm going to put it on the end of the tie rod end so I don't lose my nut and I make sure my threads don't get messed up. Now I can get to my upper ball joint here. Now I'm just going to be disconnecting my upper ball joint. I don't have to do the lower one because when I take off my upper, I can move it out of my way, and then I'll be able to bring the lower control arm and the spindle down together. It'll make it a little bit safer and make it a little bit quicker for us. I've already taken my cotter pin off. I've loosened the bolt up, but I have not taken it all the way off. It's still got enough meat hanging on there. We're going to take our ball joint popper here and we're going to pop this. Now keep in mind that this spring has a lot of tension on it and you want to be careful. Watch all your fingers. Oh, okay. And now listen for this pop. You can see that's under quite a bit of tension, and that's why you need to keep that nut on there. Now I can take my nut all the rest of the way off. Upper control arm's up. This is out of the way. Now I can slowly lower my jack. Now if you got original springs in here, there's going to be a lot of tension on that. You're going to have to really watch it. You might even want to get a spring compressor if you're worried about it. And these are lowered springs already in here, so we don't have as much tension as you might at home. And these I can lift out just like that. But if you have originals, it'll have to come down a little bit more. Now I can go ahead and put my new spring in. What you want to notice is that you got this nub right here, and you got a pocket here on top. This nub on the bottom is going to fit right into a slot that you have in the lower control arm, and on the upper there's a little bit of a cup that's going to fit right into. So when I slide this in, I'll get it into my hole, and when I bring it up, I'll make sure it fits right on my cup. Coming on up. Okay. While it's coming up, I'll simply align the spindle and the upper control arm and get my nut in there. Okay. When we reassemble, you want to make sure you get your torque wrench. Our upper ball joint right here is going to be torqued to 50 pounds. Then you'll double check and see where your cotter pin hole lines up or not. Then you'll tighten it just a little bit, enough to get your cotter pin in. The tie rod in, obviously, will be the same way. I've torqued my tie rod end to 35, 40 pounds. Twisted it just a little bit more so I can get my cotter pin in there. It's all locked down and ready to go. I've tightened up my sway bar, double checked everything else. I'm going to put on my caliper and my shock, and I'll see you in just a second. Okay, so you can see we're all done. Everything's double checked. We're ready for the road. You can see this doesn't take a lot of time or a lot of trouble. 2-3 hours in your afternoon, and you're going to be able to get your truck to look cool in no time at all with just basic tools, basic knowledge. Be sure and check us out on Instagram, our Facebook page, and be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see even more helpful, handy hints like this.